So another point of interest is just, I guess, reiterating how much I love Dr. Impossible.
We know.
He's just so cool now. First of all, I didn't even notice that Bill Hader is doing the voice anymore. I can't remember what the other one sounded like. This sounds like the way Dr. Impossible has always sounded.
Yeah.
His little expressions like zounds and hot sandwich and like how he's actually trying to like make the transition into villainy is really interesting. And and hot sandwich was the middle name for Kimson Albert this week in the credits at the end. These are the credits. And anyway, I just love him. Do you like him?
I really love that he's, like, exploring his evil side and, like, trying to get down with the villainy, because I feel like he'll be a much interesting and more dynamic character now.
We've never seen anyone, like, do that, before.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching the crossover. It's kind of exciting.
Anyway, they should make a spin-off called The Crossover.
The crossover event.
Starring Dr. Impossible. Incorrigible.
Afterward, Dean walks in on the Revenge Society.
Yeah. Wow.
And he rape whistles them.
However.
And Phantom Limb shocks him, basically.
Despite the rape whistle, which you think would be like...
By the way, I love that Dean pulls out a rape whistle.
You think that would have just solved the situation, it would have nullified all of them, but somehow no.
No. Kind
of side note, wouldn't it be kind of awkward to run into Underbite at this point if you're Dean? Like, oh hi, we almost got married.
They did get married.
Oh yeah, they did get married.
They did. He is his ex-wife. Also the reason for his banishment of Underworld.
So isn't that awkward?
I mean, that's gotta be heaps and heaps of awkward. Underworld, sorry.
Underland. I like Underworld better. And then Dr. Impossible comes in and explains the whole situation by saying that he actually hired them, Phantom Limb and Underbite, that they're now reformed ex-cons who had disfiguring accident, which is what forced them into the supervillainy gig in the first place to make ends meet. So now he is being all humanitarian, and he started the Impossicare Second Chance Employment Program, which should actually be really cool if it was real.
He also promotes Dean to head the Human Resources Department.
And he's like, remember, awesome. Human Resources, not evil. So then, the Revenge Society has decides that they need to be a little bit more proactive, and they take on like a small business, I would say, alternative to villainy, I guess.
It's very grassroots.
Right. With a commercial where they're trying to attract villains to join their little posse instead of the guild. So before interviewing anybody, Phantom Limb has a little powwow with the Revenge Society, and he tells them to keep in mind the panoply of powers that every supervillain team needs, which we learned a new acronym, which is SPOM.
Not Spawn.
No.
SPOM.
Which stands for Speed, Power, Air, Water/Wind/Weather, which I feel like wind should be included in there. But it means it should be something elemental, and magic.
So they're looking for all of those attributes in a recruitment, or a recruitment to fill one of the attributes of which they fill the others.
I assume, yeah.
Elemental's in the bag, since Dr. Impossible is using Sally's brother Cody as he bursts into flames whenever he contacts oxygen, and he's using him to power all the Impossible Industries' whole building, thus making them green.
I know.
Which is really disturbing. That he's exploiting him like that. But Phantom Limb is impressed that he is a little evil.
But I mean, like, he's just sitting there screaming, and he's like completely fine with it. It's scary. But where's Sally during this time? Like, isn't she like, oh wait, where's Cody? Like, where's my brother?
Yeah, I don't know how he's just like there. Like, oh hey, I'm gonna hold on to your brother for a while. He's gonna power my building.
But I like how
by being on fire.
I like how eco-friendly it is. Let's face it, like, they get a bunch of like second-rate, villains to apply. There are some like recognizable faces in the waiting room. What I thought was most interesting was Brainulo from Now Museum, Now You Don't. He was the guy who was like in the wheelchair, and the whole time you think that he's, completely out of it. But he's like the giant brain, and he's got like little knots in it and stuff like that, and you think like that he can act. Well, actually, I don't even think he has really any powers, if I remember from the commentary correctly.
Yeah.
But he's not really convinced of that, so he's like sitting there like trying to make things happen with his mind the entire time. But anyway, I'm interested to see if he shows up, because like he could be cool on their team. Who doesn't need someone with a giant head?
Well, we kind of loved Lady Hawk Johnson.
Oh yeah.
And Lyndon B. Not Lady Bird Johnson and Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah. So maybe that little team will get some action.
And never the twain shall meet.
It's very romantic. It's like pet/spouse.
How is that romantic?
Anyway.
And that they're never humans at the same time.
How terrifying.
One is an animal.
Was the bloody bear guy with the knife/superpower? Terrifying.
Just standing there all silent.
I don't actually usually get chills watching this show, but I was just like...
I think it even freaked out Phantom Limb.
I mean, it definitely freaked out all of them.
Like, that's... You know you're bad when you freak out Phantom Limb, who's batshit crazy.
I read that might be like a call to The Shining.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Fat Chance, whose body allows him to pull things from other dimensions through his stomach at random. He has that hole.
Yeah.
Kind of like Gluttony from Full Metal Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
He is the best contender, which is not sure what that says about the pool of applicants, but he has a hole to another dimension in him. He just can't control where it goes,
what he pulls out,
when. Yeah, it's not the best of situations.
I think it's kind of fun.
At the very least, it's adventurous.
I would never be able to stop, and I would just have like garage sales every day.
Shit I found in my belly.
Yeah. So then we flip to Dr. Venture, who's still very happily and unperturbed, working on his musical, and just having a good old time.
So Nathan Spidey Fillion shows back up to make sure that Dean isn't like being forced into a life of boy prostitution. And he reveals that he used to be in the super science world until his irradiated spider thesis. He got out of it after that.
Despite all the extra eyes and his butt webbing, you were still way too into the spider guy. The widower.
Nathan Fillion.
He
in spandex.
It was so the Brown Widow. I like the widower. Can I just rename one of them? Is that possible? And Dean, they have like a heart-to-heart.
Oh, it's so cute.
And Dean kind of like opens up a little bit too, and he says that he's kind of soured on the super science world himself. And especially since he thought it'd be different with, Impossible Industries. Instead, he's found that it's just, nothing really gets done, and it's just a bunch of masked people, like, coming in, which might not be completely a fair shake, because it probably was a lot more legit, like, a few months ago, but now it's all evil and whatnot.
So Dean comes to the realization that he wants to be a boy reporter, which is awesome.
I know, it's
but
so cute.
Nobody notices because his dad and Brown Widow are too busy performing a musical to a keyboard, and they can't hear him.
Yeah, it's kind of cute because we get to see, Hank looks like he's kind of doing what he wants to do. He's doing Hank code during this episode, / Sphinx agent when he grows up. So with the Venture Home News, we get to see Dean, doing what he really loves, and apparently he's going to translate that to being boy reporter, which is actually super Peter Parker, gonna say. So maybe his pajamas speak the truth. So some of the sample lyrics, one sample lyric from the Rust, the musical, was the dreams I buried with robot fingers, they linger. God, it was awesome.
Is it weird that sounded great to us?
It was. I would have totally listened to that. It was stuck in my head afterwards.
I know. And the widower with his perfect spider pitch is cast as the musical Rusty Venture because Dean can't act.
I know, apparently, according to his father, which is so mean.
I know.
The Revenge Society eventually they do actually find Rust, the musical, on the copier, and this leads them to their next nefarious scheme, which is they call Rusty, tell him that they're like a producer that's interested in making the show, and then they capture him a second time. Of course, it's to him, it's the first time because he wasn't paying attention the first time. But
yeah, and it looks like Rusty's about to get murdered by the Revenge Society and Lyndon B. and Fat Chance, which is...
It was scary.
It was pretty scary. I mean, we were nervous.
Were you guys freaked out? I mean, it seemed serious, right?
I felt like it couldn't actually happen, but I didn't see a way out.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, here, they're really closing in on him now.
And he was so happy. It seemed like it was about to get...
Honestly, I thought that Dean was about to walk in with the flashlight, and they were going to be like, oh, nothing happening here. Just hanging out with your dad.
I don't know if they would have stopped at that point.
I don't know either. They were in like a feeding frenzy.
But I just thought it was funny. Again, back to Dr. Impossible Love, that his contribution to when they're all like saying their witty play-related,
looks like this is your final act.
Yeah, he's like, boo. And it was like, oh, forever in my heart.
So Fat Chance falls on Dr. Venture and he's sent to another dimension through his Enigma hole.
Yeah. So while that's happening, like, Dean runs in and kind of saves Cody. I don't know if he actually saves him. He just chased him around with, like, a fire extinguisher.
Tried to get him out of the building.
He at least releases him. So maybe he can go find his sister, who obviously doesn't give a crap about him. And maybe he can put himself back in, like, an oxygen-less container. But anyway, he has a better chance in the wild than being trapped in the impossible building.
Maybe.
Or we'll never see him again because Dr. Jackson kind of forget that he and also that her son Rocket exist, and they might forget to include them in episodes. So this might have been a nice out for them.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So the whole building catches fire because he's running around, including, it looks like, along with Rust, the musical.
Yeah, it's gone.
We hope that's not the only copy, but we're guessing since he sent it with Dean to make copies that it probably is. Dean goes home and delivers the whole, I managed to pull my dream from the ashes line, which is still a mystery. Does he know that Dr. Impossible is evil now? What is his dream? That he's a boy reporter? Like, what was his final, was that his final conclusion after all that went down?
I think. I mean, if he says that his super science thing went up in smoke, I think it's the reporter thing, because, like, what else did he realize?
That's true. That he wants to make spider babies with Nathan Fillion.
I mean, there's that, or the boy reporter thing, so I'm gonna go with yours. As to whether he knows Dr. Impossible's evil, he probably should. But he probably doesn't.
It's Dean. He's completely oblivious to the fact that he is the HR department for an evil society.
So let's just say hurrah for us, because out of our 50 guesses, it turns out that yes, the sexy Dr. Venture at the end, can't believe that we just said that, with the good hair and the good suit, is actually from an alternate, / asshole dimension, in which Rusty Venture is actually a successful super scientist.
More hair, more money, and a hit play on Broadway!
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So that was pretty exciting. I kind of want to see more of that dimension, don't you?
Yeah, I'd like to go inside, please.
Maybe, but maybe without all the failure, it wouldn't be funny. It would just be like a serious show. I'd like to visit it. You know what I mean? I don't think I'd want to live there.
No,
but
I'd like to just go inside and poke around.
Yeah, but I like that he talks to even the alternate world. Dr. Venture only talks to Dean. He's like, "Hey, you're Dean from this world, right? Like you're the smart one. Help me out here.
Explain this.
Yeah."
Also, just a funny little extra. Dr. Venture tried to kill successful him with a rock. LOL.
Which is completely something he would do.
Yeah.
It would be pretty hard even for, like, a normal, not douchebaggery kind of person to go into a world where, like, you're an amazing deal. Like, all of your dreams come true. Like, you are your best self. I don't know. I can see it. Maybe I've been watching this show too long.
Possibly.
So that concludes this week's episode of our Vodcast. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with us.
I feel like we're on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to put on another sweater.
And change my shoes.
Change my shoes. And we'll meet you back here next week after Assisted Suicide, which is...
at 11:30 on Adult Swim. Mm-hmm. So we'll see you there.
Happy
venturing.
Happy venturing, Venturees.
Bye.
Bye.